This package arrived just before the Lunar New Year holiday took Korea by storm, which meant I got to enjoy what's inside it over the holiday. Now, none of the usual suspects' names were on this envelope, so at first I wasn't sure, and then it hit me. This is Apocalypse World 2nd edition. So let's tear it open and see what it is. There were two options. You get a soft cover or you could get a hardcover, and I went for hardcover as that is my preference. And there you can see it tucked away in there. There's no padding in this envelope. It's just heavy cardboard. I'll show you the envelope in a minute. It's completely undamaged, as if it was delivered by hand rather than delivered by our very energetic and somewhat enthusiastic postal service. But there it is. Vincent Baker, Meg Baker, Apocalypse World, 2nd edition, in hardcover. It's traveled a long way to get to me, and yet it is in pristine condition, which is also very nice. We have a new take on the original cover, which reflects the changes we'll find within. There's a strong tie to what was there before, and some things have been cleaned up. Inside the front cover we see a long list of the different games produced by Lumpley Games, but our focus is Apocalypse World. The text is large and readable, formatted similarly to the way it was before, and it's on a sort of rich, slightly yellowed paper, which reminds me of reading old novels in the 80s from the Science Fiction Book Club, if you remember that. The ink feels like it has been deeply absorbed by the paper. I like the feel of it. So, something is wrong with the world, and I don't know what it is. The basic premise for Apocalypse World. What are we going to make of it? So, Apocalypse World itself, when I read it, what it puts me in mind of most of all is that the Bakers set their minds to codifying best practices from the way games used to be played when they were new, when different groups scattered around the world were figuring things out, and sometimes getting lucky, and sometimes discovering things by accident, and sometimes not. The way the game is written puts me in mind of someone trying to preserve that hard-won wisdom about what can make a good game. But still, when you take Apocalypse World into your hands, you have to make something of that distilled experience and that distilled wisdom, which means for some people this is not going to be a popular game. It might be incredibly opaque, difficult to understand. For others it might seem like, why bother? I already play that way. For still others it might be a very immersive experience, getting deeply into the story and into the act of creating a story. And for others, and I'm one of these, it's a method of presentation of the system which can, when you're very unfamiliar with the system, lead to a strong focus on out-of-character dialogue, and without a conscious effort to push through that learning phase into a more character-oriented style of play, you're going to have some dissatisfaction. But the very fact that this game has sparked so much inspiration out there tells us that there is a spark of something here, which is very important. This may not be a game that I personally will find a lot of enjoyment being a player of, but it is one that I like running. So, Apocalypse World 2nd edition. One of my favorite parts of it, from just a standpoint of being a collector of role-playing game books, is this chapter on ludography. This is where the authors highlight influences, both positive and negative, on what makes Apocalypse World what it is. There's a nod to Ron Edwards and contributions at the Forge. There's a long list of games and films and books, and thanks to all of the playtesters who were involved in the 5 years of play that went to revising the book in this way. Now let's take a look at the envelope, as I promised. When we got the notification that books are being shipped out, I never thought I would get it as soon as I did, and I didn't think I would get it in the condition it was in. The package looks untouched, and as I'm showing you here, it's just this kind of firm cardstock envelope, no bubble wrap or anything. Unblemished. it arrived. So I can only hope and hopefully assume that if you haven't received your copy yet, it will arrive in the same condition that mine has, either paperback or hardback. We'll close out with just some notes on the Kickstarter itself. The initial write-up was very, very clear about what to expect and when to expect it, and although that ultimate deadline was missed, at no point did communication flag. Backers were always updated with what the situation was, what any problem was, and what the next step and associated deadline would be. So, a well-run Kickstarter, especially compared to some others. So if you haven't tried Apocalypse World yet, now might be your chance.